Hi, this is Nick from Elite Outdoor Fitness. This video is about shoulder impingement specifically, and a little bit on rotator cuffs. It's kind of, for me, it is pretty much the same. I'm not physio, not a physician of any kind in that respect. This is based on experience myself of like overtraining, not looking after shoulders, warming up properly and all that good stuff, training too much on my fucking front than my posterior chain, and like putting a lot of pressure on my rotator cuffs on the rear. And I think a lot of people, find these common kind of issues with weight training. And these are the small things that I do every week to help me reduce shoulder impingement and rotator cuff issues. Number one is look at the 60-40 rule. We do that on a lot of things, to be fair, because it kind of just works. But I kind of concentrate 60% on my rear posterior chain, 40% on the front. It makes you look better, makes you look leaner, gives you a better posture. And to be fair, with all this kind of stuff that most people are doing, like cross training, CrossFit, running, cross-country running, trail running, you kind of lack a lot of the posterior chain kind of strength and conditioning. And so it just kind of adds to making a bit more balance. So number one, the main one, is warming up properly. And there's another video on this of warming the shoulders up correctly before you do any kind of Bergen work maybe, and also upper body kind of training. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes. It's just, it would be pretty bone not to do it. So have a look at one of those videos. Number two is resetting your shoulders, which is what I have to do in everyday life all the time, let alone when I'm training, I'm doing a set, or even halfway through a set when I'm getting tired. Reset my shoulders. I rotate them back as if you're expressing like your chest kind of facing forward and out, just to make sure that you're kind of giving a bit of balance to your rotator muscles. And also when you're leaning forward, if you're doing bicep curls or you're doing whatever, you tend to put a lot of extra taxation on your rotator cuffs. That comes into number three, is range of motion, okay? Certainly on my warm-up sets, I go into the range of motion. So I'm getting full range of motion once I do my one proper set. So I'm doing 6, 8, 10, 12 as warm-up sets, and also the shoulder impingement bit that I'm just about to show you, before I then do my first set of bench press. And I kind of do that on a little bit of back and shoulders, shoulder presses and stuff like that as well. And so I just cutting into the range of motion is what will be a top tip to help you, is that when you're going to the extremities at the top for shoulder press and at the bottom, whether that's front or rear, and bench press right from the bottom on your chest, breathing in, right to the out full extension, you'll find that on that full extension and on the extension right as you're coming down, and the same with the shoulder presses and to a certain extent bent over rows and those types of things, on those extremities, you put a lot of extra taxation on your rotator cuffs. And so all I do when I train people, whether they've just started for the first time or they're just coming back into strength and conditioning, and most people aren't absolute monsters like this consistently because they don't normally have shoulder issues or they're training incorrectly, is just make sure for the first week or two, and if you look at other videos, we're training 3 times a week and then bound into 4, and that takes up to about a month or 5 weeks. You don't need to be hitting the full range of motion. On a bench press, don't go to the bottom, don't go to the top. It's just a smaller range of motion. And over those weeks, start to work on that range of motion. And even when you're doing your warm-ups, just start with that narrowed range of motion and then warm into it, okay? So that you give a little bit of a catch up on your rotator cuffs, okay? Because essentially, these compound movements, like a bench press is using big pectoral muscles, and your rotator cuffs are lagging behind a little bit, okay? So at your very beginning, your strength conditioning, you might have natural strength in your pectorals, even if you haven't been doing any weights on them, just from normal everyday life, but your rotator cuffs are gonna be well behind. So you've got to give them a little bit of catch up. Okay, down to shoulder impingement, shoulder impingement, you'll probably find when you're doing any types of movement or exercise, or when you're lifting your arm up, or even when you're resetting your shoulders, you can just feel that click a little bit. Sometimes I do, or certainly when I'm in a dead hang, okay? A pull-up dead hang, like even that, I can feel it there, shoulder impingement. Now, on everyday life now, I just can't get in there. My shoulder is constantly tense, even when I'm trying to loosen it up. You can get there a little bit, but not much. If you get onto a bench press or the side of a sofa or something like that, and lean back, and then just relax your arms towards the back. As you can see, my right arm can go a lot lower than my left because it's held by this shoulder impingement. And I would imagine it's probably one of the muscles that comes through into the bicep from what I read up. I'm not a physio, but certainly this is going to help you with shoulder impingement. So release it back, reduce the arms all the way down to the back, and then you'll be able to get your finger in there, and then you can manipulate that shoulder impingement. I've got it right there now, and as I kind of lean back on my shoulder here and relax, my shoulder's completely relaxed. Once I've got it, I rotate the shoulder in and out a little bit, up and down, just so that I'm actually putting a lot of pressure, like 80% kind of a maximum pressure on it, and manipulating that. And I'll go further down it and up it, where it attaches onto whatever, or bounds underneath or over the shoulder joint or whatever. And that really does help. And then I just relax back into it. And as you can probably see, I've gone down probably a good inch or two, and I'm coming closer to my right arm. I bang out another set of bench press. I don't go to the full range of motion. I maybe do 10 or 20 of those, depending on what I've done in the first warm-up set. I'm back into it again, a bit of a bounce, and I feel already that's a lot better. Back in, manipulate that again for another 20 or 30 seconds, and I've got it right there. It's quite a nice feeling. It's almost like a sensation of actual pressure being released and tension, and already that feels a lot better. And if I went into a dead hang now, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to almost hang identically low on both arms, which I wouldn't have been able to do before. So hopefully this will help you a little bit at shoulder impingement, instead of trying to drive your shoulder into the side of a door frame or something like that, like most people do. Hope this helps, and yeah, thanks for listening.